All those who talk about Makola, they are not kidding you. Law school will test you. There are names that are carrying security certifications today that at the time when I returned, they had no idea what I was talking about. Probably done any and everything about security. I kept telling people that, like, I've seen auditors, I've audited myself, I've done the pen testing. And when we're doing pen testing, there was no bug bounty. Nobody was paying you for this.
Hello and welcome to Quick with Tech, your most sought after tech channel in Ghana, where we bring you all the juicy stuff happening in tech. In today's episode, we will be discussing the intersection of technology and law, specifically in data protection, cybersecurity, and the ethical implications of emerging technologies. And to do that, I have with me here my boss, as usual, Kwekutek. Ish. And then we have a very special guest in our midst. He is a lecturer, he is a lawyer, and he's also been in the cybersecurity and data protection field for over 15 years. So brace yourself for a lot of knowledge today, like back to back, back to back. He's no other than Desmonds Israel Esquire. Hi, Desmond.
Hi.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So for the sake of our audience who might not be privy to the whole data protection and cybersecurity subject, can you just give us a small overview of the subject?
So data protection is connected to data privacy. It's more of a legal technical conversation than just a technical conversation, because privacy is a matter of law.
Okay.
For instance, in Ghana, it's the constitution that grants you privacy of your correspondence. So the Data Protection Act is based on that constitutional provision that you have privacy to your correspondence. And the data protection here is dealing with personal data. Any attribute that can identify you, whether directly or by inference. So for instance, if I enter your working environment and you have like an IP address management system and IPs are mapped to users, that IPAM contains personal data because information there can be used to infer who is behind that particular IP address. Just as your name, your age, maybe your social security number, or maybe the bank that you transact with, all these things can be put together to identify you. So the law is saying that these attributes of yours, you have the right to decide who takes it, who works with it, who keeps it, who destroys it. And that's where data protection comes from. So it gives you call it the power, to be able to make decisions when it comes to personal data of yours. And then it gives some leverage to what you call the data controller. The data controller essentially is just a company or an organization that collects the data and uses it. Okay, so for instance, if you enter a school environment, you have a contract with the school. Mm-hmm. You have to give your information to the school for the purposes of education.
Yeah.
The school becomes a data controller under the meaning of the law. Mm-hmm. And all the information you give it, including the tests that you take, the exam scores that you get, they are all your personal data. Mm-hmm. And so within the law, you now decide how it's going to go, how it's going to be used. And so the law structures itself such that you don't also exercise your right at the detriment of certain legal provisions or what you would call, reasonable inference. Let me give you an example. Even though the law gives you the right to delete your data, can you, for instance, tell your university where maybe you are a continuing student that they should delete your scores?
Or someone to ask that question, right?
It's not possible.
Why?
I mean, because of the way the law is, someone could say that, okay, so I want you to delete my test scores. But if they delete your test scores, how are they able to account to you your stewardship as a student? Mm-hmm. So by contract, it doesn't even make sense. Or you ask GRA to delete your information. by law, DRA has to collect that information for the purposes of taxes.
Okay.
So you can ask them to, delete that information. But you can ask Kwekutech to delete your video from YouTube.
Okay.
Unless there's a contract where Kwekutech has paid you, and they have to reap the benefits of that personal data, which is the interview that you have online. And so maybe they say, okay, so after this shot, it's going to be online for half a year.
Okay.
And then you come back and say, no, I want you to delete it. By contract, it's not a fair request because you've been paid,
Right.
or even if you've not been paid, there's been some level of agreement for that. Unless Kwekutech has done something to the video that affects you, which also now it actually it ignites your rights to stop that harm from happening. So that's pretty much what data protection is about. Concerning cybersecurity, it's just all the controls you put in place when you're faced with risk that comes from the internet associated with digital assets like computers, data, and the rest. Now, the reason why I like to address it that way is it makes it easier for anybody to connect with what cybersecurity is then.
Yeah.
Because if I give you an email account, the fact that you are able to put a password on it, or you're able to initiate your two-factor authentication, what you're doing there is providing security for that resource being your personal email. So cybersecurity is essentially when we put in those controls. Your password is a control. Your two-factor authentication is a control. So all those things that you put in place to make sure that you ensure security around those resources. And it's cyber because, most of the attacks we face today, they come through the internet. Even though I don't deny the fact that even without the internet, you could also face some attacks in there. But I also like to, kind of like be careful when I'm using cybersecurity, information security. Because where I sit, I feel that information security is way broader. It includes physical security, but the term has been interchanged such that when you say cybersecurity, the next thing that another person thinks is information security. But yeah, it's neither here nor there.
Wow. Well, I told you to brace yourself for more, so keep waiting. We have a lot for you, but before we delve deeper into the subject, let's talk about you a little bit. Now, cybersecurity and law, like that blend, you hardly see it. I mean, most people in the law, most lawyers would want to enter into corporate law, is it human rights, those other areas. But to blend law with tech, how did you get there? Take us through your journey and how you got to make that decision.
Okay, so maybe this will be the 100th time I had to tell it as it happened. But I think I always like to say it because I've also had pretty much, if you like, feedback from industry where people think that you just surface as a lawyer and you are discussing technology. That's out of place. I was fighting to choose my words. That's out of place. So I started off from NIT as far back as 2002, right from senior high school, a year after senior high school. And that was when we were being taken through information technology. And that was quite different from computer science, which is what I wanted to do. Here, we were actually engaged in the technical stuff. We're not reading logic, and we were not reading, we were doing it. Database management systems, Windows NT, networking. We were doing these things, we were working with them. So, my first internship was with a graphic company, Advent Press. I don't know if any of you know Advent Press. It belongs to the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Are they still?
Yeah, they're still in operation. That was my first ever internship. It was actually my mom's doing. Kudos to her. And so I worked under a gentleman who was our supervisor, who was very open-minded, and back in the day, graphics was just a gift. But that's not what really I wanted to do. So I got the opportunity to also be doing a little bit of the networking, not a very complex environment at the time, but a little bit of the networking. I was always discussing viruses and stuff. So through him, so let me just wrap this up short. Through him, I got to work with a lady who needed a database developed for her. So these were my early days. And then I ended up in my first official job in 2004, where I was doing, networks, system
Mine in
administration,
2004, where were you?
I was fooling around.
network administration, and I was teaching. I was an instructor. Yeah, I was an instructor. I remember in Parliament of Ghana would bring, their staff. There were people coming all over from the place to come and learn. I worked with a company called Simply IT. And then from there, just about a year, I found myself in another company, software marketing, where I can confidently say that security became a thing. Well, now, this was a company that was a McAfee partner, McAfee Antivirus.
Yeah.
But you see, even though at the time antivirus was a thing, antivirus was the biggest thing about security. The way we were doing it is like you trying to do pen testing today. You understand? It was more than just the installations. There were McAfee tools on the side for cleaning up worms. We learned Windows batch scripting. It was an exciting job to do. It was not, I downloaded from the internet and I've installed it. No, we need to do configurations, and we were working with companies, like the Bank of Ghana and the rest. And this was in 2005 probably. And we had all these fancy things at the time going on with us in terms of security. Companies will be hit with virus, and then, team will have to go in there and work. But I then started. So I met people who were already doing these things in that space. Kwame and Emmanuel, they were the two people I met there. And then the company took a chance on me. So I had training in South Africa and then Nairobi. Now, the one in South Africa, I'm trying to connect today's security to my journey. The one in South Africa included a training from McAfee. At the time, McAfee had bought a platform called Foundstone. This was literally the first vulnerability assessment.
Oh.
So this is where what I decided to now do as security birth itself, because I enjoyed it way better than even the antivirus side of things, because then I understood assets, and this was in 2005, assets and what the vulnerability is, and then the calculation between assets, vulnerabilities, and threats to get the risk, all these things were happening. And when I came back, I was having conversation with colleagues. They have no idea what I was talking about. Trust me. I don't want to mention names. There are names that are carrying security certifications today that at the time when I returned, they had no idea what I was talking about. Absolutely none. So I went in there, 2 entrepreneurships through that, ran a company called Absolute Intrusion Management from 2008 to 2011, which collapsed, of course, partners fighting, and then it didn't work, but I didn't give up on that. 2011, started another drive for another company. 2012, March, formed Information Security Architects, which is the company that runs now. It's been 13 years that the company is running now. So it's based on that company that I started. I've probably done any and everything about security. I keep telling people that, like, I've seen auditors, I've audited myself, I've done the pen testing. And when we're doing pen testing, there was no bug bounty. Nobody was paying you for this. We were even ending up in trouble making responsible disclosures to companies that, hey, we found this about you. I've been threatened several times with lawsuits. If you don't get off our system, we're going to sue you. But I see those companies today embracing security. So, I mean...
But that was a very dangerous move.
Yes, and we had no laws at the time. Our first cybersecurity law, which is Electronic Transactions Act, it came in 2008. Yes. So, and nobody, even today, a lot of people don't know what is in that law, right? I got fancied with it because I practice law and it's my area. So I pretty much read that thing back to back. And I teach it as well. So I need to know what is in there. But I'm telling you, a lot of people did not know what was in there, So where did the law come from? So that's another part of me maybe viewers will love. I'm an industry person. I follow industry on the quiet. Like if you follow my stories on my WhatsApp, by the end of the day, something technology will show up. So that's me. So at a point, I could tell that there were legal issues coming out of technology.
Okay.
This was sometime probably 2012, 2013. And the conversation was very heavy, like outside, not here. You know, if you follow the tech news in the forums and all that, people were being sued, people were being dragged to court, especially in the United States. And then the people that we fancied, you know, the cybersecurity guys that we loved them, the hackers, let me just say that, they were going to jail for the things that they were doing. So I'm like, okay, how is this thing working? I thought technology is technology, you know. So the interest came. I tried to marry the two in my mind. It wasn't working that well, you know. I had this sketchy idea of it, and I could have arguments with my friends that in a decade, IT law would be the thing. And I remember I was on a project in Fidelity when I first took my law degree forms. And those that I was working with, big ups to Roger and Samuel Anakwa, they were the people who signed my recommendation to go to do my first law degree, the LLB. So they were people I was on a project with, and I've had interactions with, like, listen, this is the next thing, right? I mean, some time back, I told people security was going to be the thing. Those that I started hardware networking with, I told them we'd leave you behind. Security is going to be the thing. I never even thought of cloud, but I was concerned that security would be the thing. And security was, and most of them are now into security, you know.
Should
and
we call you a professional?
maybe, because 2013, when I was telling these guys, hey, law and technology law is going to be the thing. Everybody was like, oh yeah, you know. Yeah, they had their support. You know, they signed my recommendation, but I don't think, honestly, they knew it was going to come that early. Okay, so fast forward to law, my law degree came out, it turned out well for me. Being a technical person going to do law was very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. It was a totally different terrain for me. I was a technical guy through and through. The addition I had there was business, because then, you know, I did my first degree late. So when I went back to do first degree, I did business. I did management with computing. And it was after that I went to do my LLB, which is my first law degree. And so, I mean, from there, the rest is history. Once I was done with LLB, you know, Makola, Ghana School of Law. Yes, it's a very difficult one. Yes. All those who talk about Makola, they are not kidding you. Law school will test you. Law school will push you to the limits. But here we are. We did that, and this year we'll celebrate 8 years at the bar.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I've just summarized it. It's a long conversation, but I think this is good for listeners. So, like, the bottom line is, you can dovetail. I've mentored a lot of people, and I've also spoken to people who want to do law and tech. And I tell them that there are different wings to it. Do you want to be a lawyer and practice technology? Do you want to consult as a lawyer in tech? Do you just want the knowledge in your space? You know, I've been privileged to join GIMPA back in 2022 when they started their IT law. So the IT contracts and SLA section of it, I was part of. In fact, I think I was the second lecturer who was asked to remodify the course. I have a strong belief that the current delivery is based on what I pulled through. I was also with the School of Technology again when they started their MSc Forensics. So I thought ethical hacking. You know, so I have a host of students, amazing students, you know, that I know are doing very well. I mean, one of my people is actually now also lecturing the course, because I left to go and do my second. By the way, I did my second degree in law as well. So I have a master's in law.
That one. It appeared in the news.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people know. So there are people who see that and they're like, oh, he just did some course and then he came back and no. Stop. I've been here when the industry started. Like, seriously, I've been here when the industry started. I know every OG that was into infrastructure. Like, I know them. I know all the gigs and those who did it up to where it got to. You know, so yeah, we didn't wake up to this yesterday, honestly.
Wow. This is a great journey, right? I wish I have a quarter of it.
Quarter of it. You have to start now so that 10 years from now you'll be telling your story.
I agree. 2013 feels like yesterday, but it's what? 12 years.
Yeah.
It's 12 years when I told Roger and Sammy that I'm going to law school.
Wow.
Yeah. But it still feels like yesterday.
Let me ask this question. So, will you say anyone who wants to do the law in tech should have a background in tech before going, or they should rather do the law first before they come to learn the
I think it doesn't matter. I'm fortunate that I was doing tech and I found the opportunity that the law brings and I went in, because the journey either way can also be difficult. Okay, so what I think can happen is if you are into technology and you want to go into the law and there's no intention to practice, I mean, when I say practice, you want to go to the courts, you want to represent yourself as a lawyer, right? Then it means you have to go through Makola. You have to be called to the bar, so that's a journey on its own. Your law, your legal studies and becoming a lawyer is a journey on its own. And of course, it's doable, but it's also not for faint hearts. I started with people who fell off. I started with people who came in later, that kind of thing. So I would encourage anybody who wants to do it, to do it. Now, I was looking at two careers at the same time. So I never really introduced myself as a technology lawyer. You can check my profile anywhere. I say lawyer and information/data protection practitioner, because I do both. Okay. If I really want to going back, I've been out of court for like 2 years, but if I want to go back to court, it's a matter of finding a chamber that is willing to work with me. Okay. Put on my wig and gown, refresh my notes, and take the cases. And I can go to court because I wanted that career, right? And I can join you to do the tech as well, including folding my sleeves. If we have to lay cables, we will do it, So these are two careers that I wanted to hold. And that's why I took this path. But someone like my junior brother who wants the knowledge, he's more into infrastructure, more into help desk, but he wanted the knowledge because of procurement issues and all that comes with technology. The advice I gave him was, listen, you don't need to do anything big. Go and do your master's, maybe get a master of science in IT law, and you still get all the components that you need. So that's what he did. And so even though he's a help desk person, if you read his CV, it's very impressive, because he still within that range. He doesn't need a LLB. He still did his MSc and his MSc in IT law, which contains a number of things, including the law. He was my student.
He was your student. Your brother was your student.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
So running itself for 13 years, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the major challenges you can say that the cybersecurity firms, especially in our part of the world, are facing?
The huge challenge was how long it took the market to realize they need security. I'd said over and over that if within the 13 years that we worked, if half the year the market was embracing security the way it was, I probably would have long gone set up multiple businesses out of that. Because first of all, it was a lucrative business because we were first entrants. Okay. So we came in when not a lot of people were there. I know a lot of big names now that when we're cleaning up the market, they were nowhere to be found. No disrespect. I mean, people come and build, right? And then others come and put it on. And we were also not loud. We avoided what we called guerrilla marketing. We avoided it. And again, I'm sure if you check our profile online, you see we decided to brand ourselves as focused consultancy. So we work with people who are ready to pay premium for their service.
Okay, so not everyone.
So we didn't really run after everybody. Okay. Even when we were doing antivirus, which I think 5 years back or maybe 6 years back was forming almost 60% of our revenue, we were still not running after everybody. So, and I'm not going to mention clients here, but we chose clients that were willing to pay us, spend the extra time, look at the system for them. And we started off when we used to do what we call compromise assessment. We were checking if you had virus in your environment before we deploy new antivirus for you. We had that service. Yes, and we worked with banks that allowed us to do the assessment. So we wrote our own scripts, scan networks, find out if certain ports are running, certain privileges are running because certain viruses behave those ways. We're doing file server assessments, file integrity. We're doing all these things before deploying antivirus in your environment. Yes.
Then you've done all the work.
Exactly. So, and that's why if, for instance, antivirus would have cost you, let's say $5,000, we don't want to compete the one who is selling it at $5,000. He's not going to do the work we want to do, right? But now the market is different. Most antiviruses are doing like pre-scans for you. Things are different. Let's just say things are different, yeah. But I think the biggest challenge was how long it took the market to accept security. Yeah. For now, it's more to do with everything that you know concerns the economy, concerns cybersecurity companies, including skill set gap, building workforce and all. You can build a workforce and tomorrow they are not there. And you have to start all over again. So you try to put in a succession plan, longevity plan. If you are not a skilled person yourself, being part of the team, chances are that you need to have more backups, like you can strategy that we adopted some time back. You let a lot of interns come in. You train them well. I mean, interns are short-term people, but you train them well. And when you run out of staff or you find out that there's challenge with skill set gap, you throw that employment opportunity to interns that pass through your hands.
Okay.
Because
they can do that, and then you get them in. By our 8th year in the 13 years, we've changed that strategy too. So we decided now to work we projectize our work. We projectize our work. So we build a large pool of consultants.
Oh, that is a nice idea.
So you never run out of skill set. I'm telling you, that's how it works. So we could take on a number of things, and you'd probably be wondering, doesn't it get tired? But delegation, and that's something you don't really find a lot in the market. A lot of people are not willing to share with you skill. So you can be ready for that. But I think generally, I'm not taking out of context. Generally, skill set gap will be a problem for you. The general issues of economy will be a problem for you. Those who are buying solutions like ourselves, we partner to Rapid7. So we do contra Rapid7 solutions. So currency is always a problem for us because you have to be paying them in USD. Yeah. And then, like I said, it took a longer time for the market to get to this point. Yeah. So you're pretty much now seeing people who are willing to pay premium. It's premium as in the norm. Companies are generally willing to, I want the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are not really looking at the figures. Who's going to do the job well because they are afraid of one attack or the other. That was not the norm back then.
Yeah, it's true.
Like nobody cares. But that's why I said that we never did guerrilla marketing. We will always want to go speak to one top person. This is what we can do. Do you want us to try for you? Or sometimes we get reference. I think, let's say about 60% of our jobs also reference.
Yeah. If you do it well, people call you next time.
Exactly. So we always get references.
So what are some of the major, issues that you found in working for some of these companies, like the issues that you found and solved?
The governance.
Most common issues like
governance starts everything. Like a client wants you to deploy encryption as part of your endpoint security deployment. And they don't have an encryption policy. So what am I deploying? What if things go bad?
Wow. So you need to start from...
So you need to start from there. So there were no names, but there were clients that, for instance, through our projects, they begin to develop some of these policies. Some of them were already on ISO, so it made it easier to get some of these policies in. So governance was a big problem. Governance also because if the decision is not properly made at the top, what you are procuring becomes a problem. So you get all these back and forth with the clients. But if you're looking at technical issues, so at a point there were more worms. Then at a point when ransomware was not very loud, maybe this is 2016, 2017. Yeah, we had some ransomwares then at the time. Yeah,
ransomware.
Yeah. In Ghana, at the time. So that's something that we also worked on.
Did you pay?
No, we didn't pay. We had a very strong Kaspersky relationship. A lot of people, I don't know about today's market with endpoint security. I've moved away a bit. So, but back in the day, I was a full Kaspersky consultant. Had all my Kaspersky training. And this was when my love for Russians came in, because they were very good at what they do, all these stealth mode attacks and all that. So I learned a lot from them, even though it was just about deploying the antivirus solution. The training goes beyond deploying the antivirus solutions. You need to understand how processes on, say, for instance, a Windows machine works. Why do they do what they do? What does it mean if you say something is multi-threading, for instance? Why is it working the way it's working? Like, why is, for instance, a worm able to choke the network? Can you alter the behavior of the worm? These were things that you learn, and then you had to learn gateway security as well, because then the internet was now a thing, So there was a lot that I came to the field with, even from vendor level training, because if you notice by now, from McAfee to Kaspersky, so a lot of things were pretty much clearer for me, because these people need this knowledge to develop these solutions. So learning from them gave you that room to appreciate how some of these things work. So at a point, we're using that knowledge to also help our clients.
Considering how you learned your basics, how you built yourself, and the kind of structure we have now, like how things have been very simplified, which one would you prefer?
So now I'm not going to be hypocritical about this. Everybody wants a simple route.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a simple route. I remember one of the first few books that I read about ethical hacking. It said that nobody gives you a prize for choosing the difficult route. Find the easiest way to hack the damn thing.
Okay.
So nobody is going to write an exploit when there is an existing exploit. It proves nothing. Really. Who cares that you wrote an exploit? If you wrote an exploit for a non-existing, then we can credit you for that. I'm not saying people with the tech skills, I hate being taken out of context, But what I'm saying is that, go back to the bottom line of my point. Choose the easiest route, right? Choose the easiest route to get the job done. You're going to get paid anyway, right? Exactly. So back to your question, which is better? I think the current system of access to information and the intuitiveness of being able to do cybersecurity is way better.
Really?
Yes. Hear me out. We had a lot of fun figuring it. I mean, people are pushing, you are pushing code and websites today through continuous integration and we had to do it with FTP. Okay. And I don't know if you guys ever tried to upload a website with FTP, hardcore FTP. This was fun for us, right?
Yeah.
But who is paying us extra for the hassle?
Okay.
That's why I say, hear me out.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you what is not okay with the current system. Too many lazy learners. I'm a self-study person. Like, everything about me, self-study. Nobody taught me security as in the way you would have said, let me go to this person, let him teach me this, let me teach me that. No, for us, it's the forums, the books, and we didn't have YouTube. So I'm stuck to it. Today, anything happens, I never even dealt with it before. The first thing, they will tell you at home, the first thing you hear from my system is a YouTube loaded. Because I want to hear somebody who's done it. And how did he do it? And why did he do it that way? Okay. Then the knowledge gets stuck. I might not really be interested in implementing it, but I understand it. When you have a conversation with me about it, I can tell you that these are the shortcomings, around that. That was not lazy learning. No, that's a lot of self-motivation, because the knowledge is not there. You have to go and find it. But today, everybody feels like, if you want to write a very simple Python code, and my wife did that just yesterday. She says she wants to write a code. And I said, okay, but ChatGPT can do that. Then we were like, oh, yeah. Then she just goes to GPT. This is somebody who's into marketing, right? Goes to GPT, tells GPT what she wants. And GPT wrote the code. And then she says, how does she run it? And I said, do you have a Python? She says, yes, I do. Okay, so move the code there, save it in the IDLE, and then call it. She's safe. She called it. She never sat in a Python class before.
Wow.
You feel me?
Written a code.
Exactly. You understand?
Yeah.
But you see, even when she got the code from GPT, she's asking questions.
Yeah, she still doesn't understand it.
That's the point that I'm making, right? You need to match the easy access to information today to your quality of self-motivation,
Okay.
your intuitiveness. Because you have 10,000 miles ahead of people like me who started the way we did. Because that's what we had. That was what was available to us. But you have the opportunity of so much today. So what do you want to learn? Blockchain and security, blockchain and algorithms. What do you want to learn? You need to set that up. Go to the basics. I've seen people run scans, and when I ask them, what does this port do? They don't know. Mm-hmm. But they've run scans. They've given you a vulnerability scan report because they probably know how to use Nexus. Right? Okay. And then you ask them, for instance, you know at the core of Nexus is Nmap? What's Nmap? Okay. Right? Then you introduce them to Nmap, right? And then they are asking, what's Nmap? I said, before Desmonds was Nmap.
Oh, so Nexus is actually running on Nmap.
Nmap is inside. Exactly. At the core of most platforms, at the core of most of it, it's open source.
Okay.
It's open source. At the core of most of these platforms is the crawlers. They are all built on the GPU of Nmap.
A typical example is here. You see how she's surprised.
Nmap is the core of everything we are doing today.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The network mapper, but that network mapper does subtle vulnerability assessment. You know that? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
It has plugins for that.
So
even from the console. So they built on top of it.
To charge.
Because what they give you now is more than the bare bone, right? Yes. And that's how somebody also wrote a GNU for Nmap. So people even download the ZenMap. Yeah, ZenMap is a GUI of Nmap. And then they run it. So that's why I said that our experience is way different. We were forced to go and find out, why is this carpet yellow?
Okay.
Rather than it's a yellow carpet. We never accepted it's a yellow carpet. That's our kind of learning. So when you give me your fancy bug bounty report, I might not be really interested in the findings, but I can ask a few questions and I just know you were lucky. So there's a lot happening now, and the tools are available. Like every day they are churning out tools. I've stopped even monitoring tools. I used to Git monitor and see which tool just came out. I stopped, maybe because I'm also focused on more other things. I ultimately want to do policy, so because I'm driven by the idea that those who do policy for us, they don't understand us.
Yes,
yeah,
it's true.
So. Shout out.
So is it the fault of the individuals or is the fault of the institutions?
Every learning curve has a lot to do with an individual. Yes, you have environment shapes you, right? But when I did graduate studies in the United States, I was just proud of myself because I met people who didn't know the things that I know.
Okay.
But the things I knew was about the environment. Okay. But I sat down here and learned. I told you I'm an industry person. If you take my phone, you could see how the phone is organized as though it's a desktop. So I have tools in one folder. I have RSS feeds in another folder. Every time, I'm more productive on my phone than you chatting me on the other side. Because chances are that as we even have that conversation, I'm maybe doing something on GPT, writing a short article, reading something that happened. If I'm on Facebook, for instance, I say that China found lithium or something, I don't run with it. I'll go and find out if indeed lithium has been found in China. How much do they find? How much is it worth? How long is it going to? It's just that old school style of learning stuck that you don't want to accept things. So fake news doesn't move people like us much. I barely share on my Facebook.
I'm not getting your point now.
I barely share on my Facebook. Something is posted, Ghana Today. Where's their website? You check, there's no Ghana Today website. Where's their office? There's no Ghana Today office.
It's not true.
It's not true. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done with it. So information search and analysis skill. If you ask me to make a recommendation, everybody should develop information search and analysis skills. That's how come you also find out that a lot of things GPT is telling you is rubbish. Yeah, it's hallucinating. Yeah, I use GPT for a lot of things. I can say averagely in the 7 days, I may have used GPT 6 days a week.
Okay.
So every day I'm in GPT. So when I tell you GPT is hallucinating, it is hallucinating. I have trained GPT to even learn Ghanaian law and apply them because I've asked it questions in things that we're doing like a research work. And then he because again, I don't want to veer into my whole thing about AI, but we don't have what I call Afrocentric data in the LLMs.
Yeah.
We don't. So GPT answers my questions as though the European standard is our standards.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then he forges sections in our law and claim that those sections speaks of these things, right? Yeah. And then I'll tell you, no, these things you're talking about are structured in maybe the GDPR like that. We don't have those laws. And
so
then
you're teaching
then I teach it.
Yeah.
Then I pass it on relevant clauses and then he learns. So when you enter into my account, there's a lot that you pick up from there that maybe ordinarily you not even pick up if you were using your account.
Okay.
Because there's so much conversation happening, right? Just before your next question, 2 days ago, I do conversational prompting. So I was having this conversation with it and I'm trying to do a research on AI acquiring rights.
Okay.
Acquiring rights.
Yes, as in the way we have human rights.
Yeah.
And so I asked a few questions and it said that that is a nuanced area. That's a conversation that is going on. There's no certainty on that. Then he made a statement and I said, no, but when you made this statement, you didn't consider that XYZ also exists and these are potentials that we can use with it. I don't know, but I think I like to... Sorry, but let me take a little time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Take all the time.
Let me
Since
see.
I was even asking this question today, that some of the things this ChatGPT is doing, we can sue them for it.
You want to see it?
Oh yeah,
You
because
asked the question.
I was checking on a designer who was doing something right. He would take someone's design, take a picture of the product, tell the product ChatGPT to do the same thing that is on the design on the new product, and it to do it correctly for you. So what are you trying to do? You are stealing the designer's idea, trying to implement it on your own.
Something new.
Yes.
But sometimes too, it will leave out something and then it will be like for
Still, even if it leave it out, he's stealing the idea.
Well, okay.
So in that aspect,
Okay. Who will read?
she will read.
You read.
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at the you see my prompt
Okay.
and then read the response he gave me. So you can read both.
So the
What I
prompt
said.
was, would you like to explore a draft legal
Oh, no.
framework
Before then.
before then? Okay, so I should go to
Not
the
here. On the
Okay.
issue of that's
On the
me.
issue of the AI self-learns and self-modifies, I should think this lies within the realms of algorithmic accountability.
Right.
Okay. Should we connect the two?
And then he says,
Absolutely. And you are spot on to draw a direct line between AI self-learning, self-modification, and algorithmic accountability. The two are deeply connected, and understanding this connection is key to resolving the legal and ethical puzzle surrounding AI personhood, liability, and control.
prior to this, he had made a point that it's not possible.
Oh, okay.
You see? So the way I'm prompting it is because of the way I understand what I want to write.
Okay.
I have already researched the things in my mind, and I know that these are likely areas that you need to consider if you want to come up with such a paper.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is, if the learning doesn't go to the root, doesn't go to the basics, you have all the information sources available, which is the advantage of today's learning. So much information, easy to access them. MOOCs, Gen AI, Google is even way better than it started, and it goes on and on, online libraries and all that. But at the end of the day, you're doing vulnerability assessment, for instance. What does it mean?
Okay.
What does vulnerability assessment mean? What are you looking for? Yeah. The minute you begin to ask all these questions, you will find out that the job is never about the tool.
Somebody told me that recently.
The job is never about the tool. It's about you. What are you looking for? Because what you would be in a hurry to probably pull Nessus to scan for, I could probably do it with Nmap and we'll still get the same results.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then looking at the resources, it's like now there are lots of information. You don't even know which one to settle on or which path to take to arrive at a particular destination.
It's called information overload.
Okay.
It came when the internet was birth.
Okay.
Now it's worse because now you are in big data era, right? Okay, so information overload is when a particular subject has so many wings to it, you don't really know what to look at and where to start from. That's information overload. Now, how you deal with information overload is a self-focused person. What are you looking for? I keep repeating that. You want to do pen testing. Okay. Do you want to be a pen tester for everything?
Okay.
Because that's another problem.
Yeah.
That's another problem. In all my life, I was never a geek for mobile app testing. Never. And every time there was a project, I'm going to leverage on somebody on the team who knows how to do mobile app pen testing to do it. I was an infrastructure person. So I focused on understanding the weaknesses of computing infrastructure. And also my pen testing knowledge was around that. And that's why I improved my information gathering skills. I did a lot of reconnaissance.
Okay.
I did a lot of reconnaissance, open source intelligence. I profile systems, profile people. I've told this story before. I did a pen test project with a foreign company here in Ghana. The only job I did was information gathering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was paid very, very well. Very, very well.
Just doing OSINT, and then you're just getting paid.
Because what you're producing to them is usable.
Wow.
They are finding the weaknesses from the OSINT.
Wow. Yeah, okay. That's true.
And that's the job. What is left is exploitation. They are not on the ground. You are on the ground.
Yeah.
So they know from your results what can be picked on the wire and what has to be done here. If we need to infiltrate, how are we going to infiltrate? So again, I repeat, it's about the person, right? I admit, environment shapes you. But different people, different environments, right? But we would meet at the crossroads somehow. Like I said, when I went for graduate school, I was saying things in my class that people were impressed about. First, because they didn't think that somebody from my region would know that. Second, because they realized that, this is about them. But I'm making the point. How do I know something about them that they don't know about themselves? I was telling Americans things about America that they could do this to us. So yeah, it's like that. But I think that the bottom line is a lot of information in today's world, which is good. We never had it that way. It's not going to be the same for every generation though. But the bottom line is that people today should do more than lazy learning. It doesn't help.
I have one question here. So
Please go ahead.
looking ahead, how do you foresee the evolution of data protection law and cybersecurity regulation impacting practical globally and in Africa?
Now, because of AI, what we call data minimization is going to be a problem because AI already consumes data. I mean, in local parlance, Rebecca said AI or D data, right? So that's going to be a challenge. And my paper that I wrote for my national security, cybersecurity project was on regulations, cross-border data regulations in the age of artificial intelligence. And I'm making a case that those regulations will be nearly obsolete because of the way AI is. And one of the arguments I made in my paper was the fact that AI consumes a lot of data. And therefore, if you want to argue data minimization, it would be a problem. Then again, we are going to be faced with a much broader issue about identity theft. We'll move into areas of things like avatar theft. We did a project work, in fact, a report that is published on metaverse and the harms of the metaverse. Okay. Now, if somebody steals your money in the metaverse, you could actually lose money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can we prosecute the person?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Will we prosecute them in the metaverse or in real life?
Yeah. It's true.
Right?
Okay.
Can I steal your avatar and use it in the metaverse to impersonate you? Would that be identity theft?
Yeah.
It will be identity theft? Because we have to connect your identity, your avatar identity to you. So that if anything is done by that avatar, it means it was done by you. So if somebody else impersonates it, then the person is... Do you see the complexity?
Yeah, it's true.
That is the future of data protection. And there are even more. There are even more issues that will come up. Regulators will not be able to catch up.
Yeah.
First of all, the law is never made for technology. I heard this a lot before I went into law. And I'm like, my people need some education here. Law is never made for technology. Law is made to regulate behavior.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you regulate the behavior that comes out of the technology. Now, if you are not able to regulate that, you also regulate outcome. Okay. So I use technologies to steal from you. What are you charging me with? Stealing, right?
Yeah.
Cyber theft.
Okay.
You see? I use internet to harass you. What are you going to charge me for? Harassment, right? Cyber harassment. So you are regulating the outcome of the use of the technology. And then you can also regulate the behavior that the technology comes with. So let me throw you back to AI. We are still discussing advancements. Let me throw you back to AI again. How do you feel when your maybe young brother or family member, first-time offender, goes to court? Judge uses AI system to determine his bail application and refuses him bail. How would you feel?
Hey, very bad. Like, nah.
You won't be happy, right?
Nah.
Because first-time offender, at least he should be granted bail so he can come home. Yes, but this happened in the US.
Oh, it has already happened.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's where algorithmic accountability comes from. Because now the AI developers are saying they don't know how the AI is thinking. They call it the black box phenomenon. Okay. And policymakers and human rights and other activists are saying that's not it. No. Someone must be held responsible. So you can't develop AI that you can't explain. So one of the key AI principles is called explainability. And explainability is determined by algorithmic accountability. You should be able to explain how AI works. To explain how AI works, we have to audit the algorithm. Yeah. The algorithm must be accountable. So explainability, which is one of the key ethics in AI deployment, is fixed by algorithmic accountability.
That sounds like your project.
Exactly. So you can see that I'm already toying with the idea that this is going to be a big issue. I didn't even know you guys were going to ask, but it is a big issue. Yeah. It is a big issue today. Would we say AI has been biased to the suspect, or would we say it's the court that has been biased to the suspect? The one that was refused bail?
It's the court.
It's the court.
They didn't feed the AI. They should have told the AI that for first offense.
So there's something also in AI ethics, which is called human-centered AI, human in the loop, which is that for every AI system that you deploy, it should be such that a human being can do a second valuation of the situation.
Okay.
See? So these are issues that is going to come up around data protection. And of course, in cybersecurity with the identity theft and all that. It's taking attackers today less than an hour to develop a full-blown social engineering attack.
Wow.
Yes, less than an hour. And now they are writing better scripts.
We are getting there.
They are writing way better scripts. The storyline has also changed. I can just ask GPT and you can do what we call a prompt bypass, where you ask it a question and it says that I'm an AI, blah blah blah. I can't give you this answer, right? You can do a prompt bypass.
And you still get your
and you get the answer. So attackers are using prompt bypass to get AI to feed them with additional cyber attack strategies that you haven't thought of.
It's true. I remember when the cartoon generation came, right? This recently, the toy things that they are doing. It's on GPT-4. So I asked it on the free one, and he said it can't do it.
And then you want to
I
be paid.
changed the question, and I asked it again, and he generated.
Yeah, that's a prompt bypass. And there's even more advanced prompt bypass. Like there's a whole training on prompting. Yeah, there's a whole training on prompting.
Wow.
I can write like a full-blown story and storyboard it for you, and you will never ever know it came from ChatGPT. You can even put it in GPT-0 or any of these AI detectors. You will never ever. It will tell you this is 100% generated. Again, another ethical issue that is coming up. People are able to intercept language and allow GPT to translate for them. So there's a tool called écouter, as in French, listening. Okay. Yeah. Now, I've seen it directly demonstrated to me, where an interviewee plugged écouter into ChatGPT via API. His microphone was on, and when the interviewer asked the question, écouter sends the feed through the mic to ChatGPT. Natural language processing translates the information and gives it an answer. And this dude reads the answer to the interviewer on the other side.
Yeah, it seems like I saw a video like that.
Yeah, it was demonstrated to me, so I'm not even referring to a video. Yes. I have this installation seated in front of me, and the gentleman is seated there, and he asked the question. It says he wants me to understand the demonstration. Wow. This was what I was doing policy in the US.
Wow.
AI policy. And so I've given you, I didn't want to answer the question academically. Yeah. So I've given you practical examples where we are heading towards with this. Would you employ such a person? Is it ethical? Chances are they could do the job. Chances are they may not be able to do the job. But would you employ such a person? Would you ever know that they had AI assisted interview? What does it mean to HR? Yeah. Would we consider that as deceit to the company?
So is it, the remote works are
deceit, though?
What?
Is that deceit? I think the person was just smart.
Was just smart.
Hey, the person was just smart in answering the question.
Remote job some way.
Yeah.
A lot of people will start thinking twice when they are coming to interview for remote jobs. Because if they start seeing these kind of things outside, they'll start thinking, are you using it? What are you doing? Some of them will tell you, share your screen. They'll share their screen, but there is another screen at another side doing the job for you.
Yeah. And then Gen AI, I don't know if it's ChatGPT or BARD, whichever, but Gen AI has written the New York bar exam and passed with flying colors. So robot has written the exams, human beings fail. So can we admit robots to the bar now? What does it mean?
Okay, it seems there is this guy even in Ghana doing the same thing with the National Maths and Science.
Kwame AI.
No, not
Esquire AI.
I don't know the name.
I think it's Kwame AI. They were answering the questions. Yeah. I think it's Kwame
National
AI.
Maths and Science quiz.
It's Kwame AI.
For now, they have been able to do the two and they qualify, so they are now building up on it to do The 3 and
final.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, but if AI wrote the medical entrance exams for doctors and passed, would we confer?
No, we need human intervention. You know that we can't let.
But that's your
technology
future.
Yeah.
That's your future coming right there.
That's
In China, robots are sweeping the streets.
Yeah.
So Bill Gates is saying we should tax robots that take jobs from human beings.
Okay.
Okay, you want to tax them?
So
So should we give them
But are you
rights?
paying them?
Should we give them rights? Yes, exactly. Before you tax them means they should earn.
Yeah.
So your question is actually an answer. If we want to tax robots, then it means we are paying them. If we are paying robots, it means they've earned the right to earn a living.
Yeah.
Can they spend money? So when I talked about robot rights, right? There's a principle called moral agency, where so for instance, let me give you an example. You see, when you set up a company in law, we say that it's a separate legal person.
Okay.
So it's separate from Kweku. So if Kweku Tech is a company, Kweku Tech is separate from Kweku as a person.
Yeah.
But there's moral agency. If Kweku Tech as a company is used to commit fraud, in law, they do what they call lifting the veil. We will find out who is behind Kweku Tech as a company and deal with that person.
Okay.
Is there moral agency with AI? If AI should commit a wrong, let's say we have an autonomous vehicle, unmanned weapon, right? And then we program it to go to, say, for instance, the north, right? There's unrest, and we want to settle them and say, oh, for every person you see in a black turbine and a black jalabia, give 2 warning shots. That's an enemy. And then he gets there, right? And then a civilian with a baby at her back crosses the line of fire. Accidentally, instead of a warning shot, the shot ends up with it. She's dressed in black. She's wearing a turbine. She's shot dead.
Yeah. That's true.
But that's an unmanned vehicle. It's an unmanned weapon. Nobody mans it. So who will be liable?
The company.
The owner.
The company that developed it. What about the military that maybe gave the instructions?
Instructions.
Because someone deployed it.
I haven't heard that of the Tesla cars also, the self-driving.
Yeah, they had accidents.
2 seconds before the accident, they will turn it into manual for you to control. How can you be able to control?
2 seconds?
Yes. So the car got an accident. They brought a video out.
This was
said
even
that,
after a series of accidents.
yeah, they told them that it was the human intervention who did it. It wasn't the AI.
Oh.
So that's why they changed it 2 seconds before the accident. They changed it to.
So that's your future right there. I didn't want to be going on blah 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 because
do we see us going this way and coming back? Because now with some people.
No, but human beings are very powerful. Please, let's not kid with that. Let's look at it this way. When industrialization started, we said that, machines are going to take our jobs, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, my auntie, they work in what we call a typing pool
Yeah.
down across Central.
Yeah.
And they were using typewriters. And then computers came. Maybe 79, 80s, computers came. Computers came, started taking over. Yeah. And then typing pool was closed down.
Yeah.
What happened to those who left the typing pool?
Cafe.
Yeah, I agree with you. The early day, they had to go to the cafe and type those things. They started learning Mavis Beacon.
Yeah.
So that's what upscaling.
Okay.
Right? Now, I brought that to just show that even today's AI is a human being's doing. What we are trying to say is that AI will undo us. But you see, as soon as we say that, we are taking the human intelligence for a joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
When we get to that river, human beings will decide their survival. The internet never wiped us away. But when human beings figured out that they can have a faster way of information search, people said, that's our end. Today, even the gospel is preached over the internet.
Yeah.
We've
adjusted. So human beings, unlike any other animal kingdom that there would be, we have a special feature. which is that our adaptation and our intelligence is what creates different generations to come. So where I sit, yes, AI will do a lot. Some may harm us, some may make us better. But I think that when we get to the point where we feel that this is not where we want to go, human beings would create adjustment. Someone would say that is pretty much in conflict with AI policy and policy advocacy. No, I'm not speaking against that. I'm making that general position. I'm a policy advocate for AI. Ethical AI is the way to go. Let's develop AI that respects our rights. Let's develop AI that would harm us less or not at all, right? Yeah. Like in the European Union, they've set up their standards through the AI Act. We need to be doing these things. And that's why, for my own beloved Ghana, I feel that in as much as I want to go fast, you want to go hand in hand with making sure the right environment is also there. I also don't believe in us setting up policies that do not have let me say, a cultural reflection of us. Okay. Because that's also not going to help. You want to bridge a digital divide, bridge it from a cultural relatives point. Yes. That is where the separation is. It's everything to do with that culture that we have. Who are we? What do we do? How do we speak? How do we eat?
I don't think will it really work in Ghana? Because like Ghana, we are more like looking up to others to do yes, then we just.
But once upon a time, the Asians were looking up to somebody to do things. China specifically.
Yeah.
Who is China looking up to now? Singapore was nothing to write home about when Nkrumah was there. Yeah. Lee Kuan Yew said it. He visited Nkrumah himself. Can we match up Singapore? How old are we? 60 what? 68 years. 68 years down the line, Singapore is way better than us. It's the difference in the people that manage it. That's where the difference is. What do we want? We need to be as intentional of our lives as we are of running the country. Because when you leave Ghana, for instance, and you are in the Netherlands somewhere, you're not going to throw refuse on the streets.
No.
Who are you? How dare you? But when that same person, that same Ghanaian that has lived in Netherlands comes to Ghana and he's eating his ebro and he walks down Jamestown and he sees ebro also there, chances are he's going to throw it there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making my point.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that one is very true.
So we can if we want to do it. And I see a lot of people saying, Munishi, na debiana mukasa, Munishi, debiana mukasa. It's also part of the reason why we've not made progress. It's part of the reason. Accepting that we had nothing makes us nothing.
Yeah.
I don't accept that. So when I find myself in the midst of people who live in those developed worlds, they can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
They can't tell the difference. They are either overwhelmed, or they're like, wow. I've gotten that reaction so many times. I'm not even making it up, like.
I got the same reaction when I met him the first time, though.
So it's like that. I mean, we need to go way beyond some of these, petty thinking. Yeah, we are a country that is broke, so we are told. So it's possible that is what it is. If we are not broke, we'll be able to afford certain things. But I think that at the point in the life of these countries that we've mentioned, they were also broke.
Yeah.
So we need to pause. What are our priorities? Even within technology, what are our priorities?
Within inside.
There's no plan. Right there. There's no plan.
We have
Thinking about it.
listen, we have technology agencies. We have NITA.
Yeah.
We have DPC. We have CSA, right? Yeah. Then you can look at the infrastructure. In fact, we have NCA.
Yeah.
You can look at the infrastructure support. We have GIFEC, right? And name them. And then we have policy bodies like the ministries. I don't know why we can't make progress. Yeah.
I don't know why we can't make progress.
No, I don't know.
We are not shooting at anybody. We are just stating facts.
I don't know. Because even allocation of budget.
Yeah.
When an agency says we are woefully underfunded, that tells us whether we meant serious business.
Yeah.
And I'm just even talking about technology, not everything else.
Okay.
You know, if you really want it badly, you see it happening in the US, you see it happening in the UK, China. Listen, China is 20 years into his AI journey.
Yeah.
The US is over 50 years into his AI journey. That should tell you something. The US government was funding putting funding into AI projects at Stanford and MIT and the rest.
So before we go, right?
Yes.
Is there a particular experience or lesson from your career that you believe has been most instrumental in shaping you of success in tech law area?
Problem solving.
Okay.
Problem solving. That detailed breakdown of root cause analysis. Why did this happen?
Okay.
I took that to law school, and I tell people, in fact, I tell my students today that what made me law school successful is that same idea of root cause analysis.
Okay.
When lecturers used to say, "Oh, and this is the principle that was espoused in the case," and blah blah blah, I want to find out what that is. What do they mean by principle? What does it mean? Does it add up anything to the conversation? So those were things that helped me a lot, root cause analysis. And I didn't learn these from law school. I learned these in tech, solving problems, help desk, support, root cause analysis. Somebody calls, say, what's the problem? Okay, let's go down here. All right, is this working? No, it's not working. Okay, can you check this for me? Yes, it's not working. This is also turned out. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. That knowledge, there's nothing way better than that. Like, you need to cherish problem solving because it's going to help. It will help you in entrepreneurship. It will help you in your advancement of school. Everything, it's going to come together. So problem solving for me was good. And I think the second, probably maybe the most important, is that self-confidence.
Okay.
Yeah. Enter the room like... So if you don't want to behave like you know more than everybody there, right? Enter the room telling yourself, I know what I know.
Okay.
I don't need to know what they know.
Yeah.
But I know what I know. So that when I'm asked, I'm going to confidently address that issue. But how do you know what you know when you have not studied what you know?
Yeah.
So you master a craft so that when you enter the room, you enter that room with confidence.
Okay.
So confidence, problem solving, and the God factor. You're good.
I wanted to ask him to give us advice. I mean, young people coming up, but I think you got that from this submission, right? Master what you know so that you can enter the room with confidence.
Absolutely.
Before we go, can you talk about the Ghana Data Protection Act? I mean, some of the principles in there so that our audience can have at least a general overview of what there is.
Right. Okay, so that law in a nutshell, it sets up a number of stakeholders. There's a regulator, there's data controllers, data processors, and data subjects. Okay, a regulator is the one that bridges all the interaction between the data controllers and processors and the data subjects, in the sense that if a data subject who has rights felt those rights have been infringed upon by the data controllers and the data processors who have obligations, right? So data processors, data controllers have obligations, and the data subjects, they have rights. So it's rights against obligations. It is the regulator in the middle that tries to balance the two for us. Now, the rights that you have under the Data Protection Act include the fact that you need to be told why your information is being collected. You can ask that information to be deleted. You can request to modify that information. Let's say, for instance, you change address. And so you want to go in there and change that and make that record. The law says that you should be provided an easy opportunity for you to make these changes, right? Then you also have rights in terms of if the information is going to be used for another purpose, they need to let you know, what there is. And when your rights are infringed, you also have that right to seek redress and receive compensation under the law. Now, those are the rights for the data subject. But how will the data controller and data processor be able to keep those obligations and ensure that those rights are respected? The obligations are a lot. The entire Data Protection Act is about 99 sections. But what is important, which is the guiding thing, is the principles, like she said. So there are like about 8 principles. I hope I'll be able to get everything. But there is accountability, and then there is lawfulness of the processing, right? So you need to be accountable. So that's why you go and register, for instance, with the Data Protection Commission that you are a data controller or a data processor. So that accountability is there. Lawfulness of processing is when you are processing the data, there has to be a lawful basis for the processing. So for instance, data subject gave you consent, or between the data controller and the data subject, you have like a contract, right? Or what they call legitimate interest, or by law, like SNIT or the GRA, by law, they have to collect the information for the purposes of taxation. So those are grounds that the lawfulness of processing will come through. And then you have a specification of purpose, right? Where you have to be told what the data is going to be used for. So your bank, for instance, that is collecting information from you will tell you that, oh, we are doing this so we can give you banking services, right? So specification of purpose. And then when the specification of purpose is given, any other processing must be compatible with the original purpose. So that is further compatibility. That's another principle. And there's quality of data, which goes to integrity. So I'll give you a quick example. A goes to savings and loans to collect money. Service and loan A. So A goes to savings and loan 1 to collect money, pays it, and then goes to savings and loan 2 to collect money again. Savings and loan 2 says that we will not give you. Then A asks why. They say, oh, you are not credit worthy. Why? Because the credit report says that you took money from savings and loans 1 and you haven't paid. See, data quality can affect somebody's rights like that. So it means that the credit bureau must be sure they have the appropriate records from savings and loans 1. And savings and loans 1 must also ensure that they have updated the credit bureau with appropriate information. So that savings and loan 2 would have the proper reflection of the credit worthiness of A. Okay. That is where the data quality comes from. And then you have data security safeguards, where most of us practice area. You're doing pen testing to make sure things are okay. You have a vulnerability assessment somewhere. Data is encrypted. Antivirus is there. Password is there. Physical security is intact. Those are the things Section 28, I think, provides for all that under the Data Protection Act. I'm a social media person. LinkedIn is 24 hours. So LinkedIn, Desmonds Israel. Old school, so I'm on Facebook. Yeah, you can check me out as Nimanche Israel. So that connects. X is Desmond_Israel. You can also get me there. And my email also vibes. Like, I'm so much into these things. So desmond.israel@gmail.com. You can get me. Easy. Let's talk.
Kweku, do you have anything before we go?
No, I don't have any. I'm just amazed and just confused at the same time.
A lot of information.
Yeah, I think we have to re-invite him back to do some breakdowns for us.
I'll be more than willing.
Yes, sir.
I'll be more than willing. I mean, when the topic is specific, I know today was at large.
Yeah, today we just throw everything together.
Yeah.
But we look for maybe a specific area and invite you again. So
I'll definitely be here.
Well, like I keep telling you, Kweku Tech, we bring you the absolute best and the juiciest stuff in tech. This is like an intersection of cybersecurity, or let me say technology and law. That's what we promised you from the beginning. So if by now you are telling me you've not felt it, then you are wrong. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as we did, and help me say a very big thank you to Desmonds Israel Esq for gracing this discussion with a lot of knowledge in the field. Yeah, like Kweku said, we'll have to bring him back. I mean, if you agree, drop it in the comment section. Let's know, right? We'll see you another time. It's bye for now.